Hi, in part 2 of my video about the disabled person struggle in Penang, I talk about how a group of disabled person from cross-disability group with visually impaired, orthopedically impaired, hearing impaired, etc., getting together to write a memorandum for the structure plan of Penang government and council. Now, in this video, I will do a short highlight introduction to the content of the memorandum. The actual memorandum will be is already posted in my blog, and I will write the address where you can find the memorandum in the internet at the end of this video. Now, videos should be short, and so I will do things rather quickly, okay? Now, to repeat, the title is that of the memorandum is Memorandum on Access to Public Facilities, views from Disabled Persons Action Group to Penang Island Structure Plan Unit and other relevant authorities of Penang. The date is December 31st, 1985. The introduction talk about access, how important access is, and it is denied to the disabled, and that good access will not only benefit the disabled but also pregnant mothers, the aged, the poor, and we even mention print handicap. That means the dyslexic people. That is in the introduction. Then it goes on to talk about the objective. The objective is to point out to the government about the needs, to show why the problem must be overcome, and to make suitable recommendations. So there, in this memorandum, there is a rather lengthy part that made recommendation. It was actually ahead of time because at that time there is no standard. No standard yet for disabled access visa. So attempts were already made by us to tell the authority what to look for and how to design for disabled persons. Okay. Then we talk about the government's estimate. At that time, it was believed that only 1% of the population is disabled. And we quoted Professor Dr. Ismail Muhammad Saleh, a social scientist from University Kebangsaan's paper that he presented in the International Year of Disabled Person Conference in Penang. And the paper title is Seminar Kebangsaan. The paper is presented to the Seminar Kebangsaan Tahun Antarabangsa Orang-Orang Cacat in 1981. That's the Bahasa translation of that seminar. Okay, I quote his paper. Okay, I'm reading from my mobile. The last survey conducted to collect information on the handicapped persons in Malaysia, in Peninsular Malaysia, was in 1958. And the information can no longer be regarded as representative of the handicapped persons today. So, the United Nations, on the other hand, puts the estimate of the number of handicapped persons in the developing countries as 7% of the total population. Okay, that's extracted from the professor's paper. In another part, we quoted a paper presented at the same seminar by former Director General of Welfare Services, Datuk Adnan bin Haji Abdullah, estimate that 1 out of 10 persons is handicapped. If we include the aged, the chronically ill, and those who are physically weak. So you see, the Director General's comment was accurate because the access will not only for the narrowly defined disabled person, but the very broad general public, the elderly, the chronically ill, and those who are physically weak, and then of course children, pregnant women, blah blah blah, you know. So that paper defined that. Then he continued to argue that institutionalized services to help disabled and then let them stay in homes or center is not correct. It is wrong. We should be encouraged to move around. That is our right. And we quoted United Nations, what is here? Now, segregation them from the mainstream of society is contrary to the express goals of the United Nations in its resolution number 31/1232, which has been adopted by our government. Okay, now that is part of the paper. Now, then, of course, you go and talk about other thing, other argument. Then, there's one more thing, which is important to highlight. As pointed out by the Singapore Institute of Architects, the actual cost of implementing their recommendations for the disabled constitute only 1% of the total cost of construction. Meaning, if you build a mall or building, if you want to cater for the needs of the disabled person, that extra cost is only 1%. That 1% is calculated by the professional bodies of the architects in Singapore. And not many people are talking about that. Even in those days and even now, in the year 2019. Okay, now. Then the paper talk about types of public facilities and amenities, and then they'll say 1, public road, 2, public transportation, 3, public buildings and public access building, housing and social and recreation facilities. So it covers a very extensive scope. Then the problems, go to the part of the problems. Then we talk about public roads, talk about rough, being rough, bumpy, narrow pavement, high-rise curb, no good for wheelchair user. And then some of the problem faced by the visually impaired, sudden drop off, like raise in water meter, badly parked vehicle. And then under street furniture, we talk about lack of overhead pedestrian crossing, lack of consistency in the positioning of street furniture, bus stop, lack of legislation and enforcement, blah, blah, blah. Then we talk about public transport, the problems faced by wheelchair user, faced by the visually impaired in using bus, the cheapest means of transport, highlighted the problem of the taxis not wanting to patch the disabled, and then the blind having problems in identifying the right buses. So those are blah, 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 very lengthy. And then housing, we talk about housing. Lack of effective and consistent housing policy to help the disabled. And then we talk about social and recreational facilities, talk about limited access to government services, lack of access to information services, telephone booths are inaccessible, public facilities. Then come to a section on recommendation and reason. And I think I will keep that for my next video. So we stop at reason for recommendations.